Don Lemon was speaking to rapper Talib Kweli, and Kweli had a number of really interesting thoughts on the issue at Ferguson. And he talked about, police brutality and the type of frustrations that some of the protesters had. And parts of the interview got a little tense. There might have been a little bit of a catfight. So first, let's set it up for you. Let's go to the first video. Kweli talks about why he went to Ferguson in the first place.
Activists here in Ferguson are using Twitter to get their message out, including some major hip-hop artists like my next guest, Talib Kweli, who is a rapper, activist. Can we call you, I guess we can call him a raptivist. You have long really been a passionate voice of issues of racial equality. You came to Ferguson days ago.
Yes.
Why?
Why not? I'm on Twitter often. I love Twitter. But the retweeting and everything, it doesn't have an effect without bodies on the ground. Mm-hmm. Without flesh and people actually showing up. Twitter movements, even the movement in Egypt, even the Arab Spring, even Occupy Wall Street, without the people on the ground actually here, there is no story.
Okay, so he gives really good reasons why he's there. He's obviously politically active and invested in this story. I don't know why the mainstream press has like an obsession with like giving people a ridiculous tag or title, like, oh, I guess you're a raptivist. I mean, it's like if you want to talk about something, important, the last thing you need is the host to like give you a ridiculous, stupid title like that, right? So I would have been like a little annoyed, but I wouldn't let it get to me too much, right? But the next clip is where it starts getting super tense. So take a look at that.
The first thing in the story it says is police chase down men.
Well,
let me finish my point.
But that's not what happened where you were.
I was there right there with the article, the situation he was talking about. I was right there. That's what happened.
But let me finish my point. That's not what happened where you were.
That's exactly what happened.
I'm going to let you finish your point.
No, you're not, because you're talking.
Yes, I am. I'm going to let you finish your point.
No, let me finish my point before you talk.
Okay, let me finish my point
before you talk.
I want to address something you said.
Can I finish my point? We don't have to have an interview if I can't talk. If I can't talk, we don't have to have an interview.
Okay.
Okay, I love that clip because, he's trying to make a point about an article that was published on CNN, and it talks about how police had to go after violent protesters, right? So he didn't like the framing of that headline, which I think is an understandable point. But I actually agree with you, Jimmy. Like, Lemon, let him make his point. Like, let him talk. That's like the #1 thing you're taught in journalism school. Ask your question, shut your mouth. In fact, the less that you talk, the better it is, because you're going to get an interesting answer from the person you're interviewing. In that case, he just would not let him finish his point.
Show me a clip of Don Lemon talking over someone else. I would like to see how he talks over other people besides that guy.
Harry Reid.
I would like to see him talk. I don't. And why wouldn't he shut up? The guy said, "Let me make my point." And even Bill O'Reilly at that point would go, "Okay, make your point." And then, because I'm going to get the last word, it's my show. But go ahead. But he wouldn't. He wouldn't let him make his point. Like, that was horrible interviewing. And by the way, I don't know, Don Lemon, trying to get his street cred? I don't know what he's doing.
Okay, well, that's an issue here we'll get to in a second. So, look, I mixed feelings about Don Lemon. Look, he did the report where he found the sources that said that the police officer's eye socket was not broken, right? So he's done some good reporting on the ground here. I don't know why he was so dismissive in this case, because there is a time to cut off a guest when they're filibustering, when they've gone on and they won't let anyone else speak, right? That happens all the time, and I get that. But that didn't appear to be the case here. No. And you have a witness to that particular event that you're talking about who's telling you what happened, and you jumped in there. It seemed to have exceeded the bounds of reason.
It seems like he was trying, like Talib Kweli had gotten some fact wrong or something like that, or at least in Don Lemon's perception, he got it wrong. And perhaps he's gotten talked to like 10 times that, you have to jump on them and correct the record or something like that. Like, it didn't seem like he wanted to move on without establishing that fact was incorrect in some way.
Let's remember that Don Lemon was the CNN cable host who hosted the program that tried to decide which is better, nigger or cracker. That was Don Lemon. Wasn't sure, had to do a whole fucking hour on it. Don Lemon.
Okay, well, his producers probably put it together, but...
Okay, so there's one final video. Let's take a look at how this kind of all ended.
I would listen to you if you had the decency. Let me finish. If you had the decency to greet me, you came up. You didn't even say nothing to me. You on your phone the whole time. You asked how to pronounce my name, and then you have no respect for who I am. So let me finish saying what I have to say, or else I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
Either I can finish saying what I'm out.
You asked me. I
was out here from my perspective.
Go ahead.
All right, for what I saw with my own eyes.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay, and I was there on the ground. All right, that's not what happened. The CNN reports on your website says it chased men down. No, it chased men, women, and children down. Mm-hmm. The CNN report, the headline says, "Calm until bottles fly." They don't mention the bottles in the article. In the article, you read 5 pages, there's no mention of the bottles flying. I saw the bottle fly. You know when the bottle flew? After the cops told me they're going to blow my effing head off.
So obviously in that clip, he is critical of CNN's coverage of Ferguson. That made Lemon uncomfortable, which is probably why he wanted to cut him off and maybe set the record straight based on his perception of things. But nonetheless, I thought that it was an interesting interview because I think Lemon was under the impression that he could have easily spoken over him and shut the conversation, but that clearly wasn't going to happen, and it was good.
Yeah, I think Jimmy made a really interesting point. I have not seen Don Lemon interrupt that aggressively any politician, Republican, Democrat, anyone with some degree of power, right? So now here's a guy who's fairly famous, but apparently Don Lemon didn't know him. He sends out these tweets about you were going to be canceled, but I
have to read the tweet
okay,
because
go ahead.
I think the tweet is very dismissive of Kweli. Okay, so Don Lemon sends out this tweet after the interview takes place. Regarding invite, you were going to be canceled. I said no. I do not know who you were, but wanted your perspective. Just so you're aware, peace.
Yeah.
So if I had gotten that tweet as someone who appeared on CNN, MSNBC, any type of media outlet, I would have been super insulted by that because it's like, look, I don't know who you are and we weren't going to have you anyway, but I'm the savior that came in and allowed you to have a platform to speak on. Peace.
Peace. Yeah. I love that ending.
Yeah.
So now look, Talib getting hurt that the guy didn't talk to him before they went on air and doesn't know him. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not with him on that, but he had something of incredible substance to say. He was, and it, not even just specifically about that incident, which he witnessed, but overall, he's saying, look, you talk about throwing bottles, but you didn't talk about what happened before. See, that's an integral part of the story, so that's a really smart point to make. And so when Don Lemon interrupts him from making that point, I've got a massive problem with that,
Right.
no matter whose egos was involved or not.